Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Well, hi everyone. Thanks for being here for One Westminster Day. My name is Maggie. I am the manager of alumni engagement, and I graduated in 2020. So really exciting time to graduate.
I'm Dwain. I'm a current student at Westminster, and I am the ASW Club's president while I also work in the phonathon here at Westminster.
Awesome. I am also, fun fact, so we're going to be chatting with some student leaders up next. And I was in student government in my time at Westminster. So that's really exciting. And ASW has surpassed their goal of 30 donors. So great job. Shout out. Woohoo! We love getting money for some food justice.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring on our guests.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, why'd go first?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Obaid. I'm the ASW president. I study international political economy at Westminster. And I'm super happy and excited to be here to work on this super, super cool and imperative issue on campus. So, yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Daud Mumin. I'm a second-year student here at Westminster majoring in Justice Studies, and I'm currently serving as the ASW Vice President. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about our project with you guys.
Yay. We love chatting with some student leaders. I feel honored to be in the presence of the three of you. I love ASW.
Alrighty. So, what can you tell us about this issue and how funds raised will help?
So the question is, I can go, or Daud, if you want to go.
Yeah, why?
Okay. So what was the question? Have you raised the funds, or what this issue is?
So about the issue that you guys are looking to.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking, Dwain. So this is something extremely important. This is, it's called food justice. Jasmine, the ex-ASW president, she sent out a survey in 2019 to the student body to, help evaluate student situation, right? To also understand their concerns in terms of food security on campus, right? Because oftentimes, this is something really stigmatized and also ignored, because everyone already assumes that, you already have the food, we've got the meal plans and all of that. And then, so we did the survey. And then we realized that how there were so many students struggling with food security, right? And if you don't have access to food security, you cannot really study, you cannot be yourself, you cannot actually thrive at Westminster, right? This amazing community. So we wanted to kind of go back to that, right? Because it was more of an unfinished project. She started it and we were like, we need to take some really doable actions to actually address this really important issue. So that's how we basically, ASW supported hiring, food security coordinator on campus. We got involved with the food justice working group on campus. And this was the big, next move to raise funds for this really imperative issue to help students in their endeavors to succeed at Westminster.
Absolutely. And Obai touched on something really important, right? This isn't about just food justice. It's about how it relates to the students' well-being and overall experience here at Westminster, right? We have to think about housing and food access and security as a very, very major and important role in what the student worries about. And we want students to be focused on their academics and their extracurriculars. Obai and I ran on a campaign of redefining what it means to have access, what it means to be equitable here on campus. And I think this was a major, it was so easy to make this decision to have this campaign for our One Westminster Giving Day, because this is all about access. This is all about equity. And the money will go towards aiding students and staffing our food and housing security coordinator and making sure that students continue having this opportunity. So it's really exciting, and we're really grateful for the donations so far today.
Awesome. Yeah, you surpassed your goal. So talk about killing it. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I think sometimes there is a perception that Westminster students that none of them are struggling with food insecurity, and that it's a rich private school and that it wouldn't be an issue. So can you tell us a little bit more about like what people might not realize about food insecurity or some of that destigmatization work?
Yeah, I definitely would love to touch on that. Growing up, I've, personally experienced food and housing insecurity, right? And grateful that my college experience has not been reflective of that. However, I know what it's like to disrupt the everyday lives that we take for granted so often, right? The 3 meals a day, and teachers to tell you to take care of yourself, but what if you don't have the ability to take care of yourself, right? So I think that was really, really important, and we saw a lot of students, over over winter break, really needing this aid and really needing this help because they couldn't afford to stay on campus over the break, or didn't have access to food without Shaw over the break, right? So this is definitely permeating the everyday lives of students, and we think that providing this access just alleviates one pressure from from an already stressful time in our lives as students, especially as college students. And I think we all know the struggle meals of college. So it's really important that we're not only emphasizing that, these students need adequate to healthy, nutritional, and good meals, but also a roof over their head to make sure they're studying and staying safe. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. And to echo exactly what Daud said, and I mean, of course, I think we've had, the food security, insecurity issue on campus for a really long time. But unfortunately, because of the global pandemic, right, when it hit, that, for example, like the shop office hours were not as accessible to students. And also, like, things got expensive, right? Because a lot of people run into the stores trying to like purchase everything from toilet paper to basically everything else. And like the prices went up, and students kind of like lost the already inequitable access to the food that they already had. So, and Maggie also brought a really important point about like, this perception that at Westminster, students are rich. And of course,
Right.
predominantly white. They come from like very enriched communities, so it's not actually a big problem. But as Daud said, we run on a campaign of redefining inclusion, right? That basically is a campaign that serves not only like, our predominantly white students, but also like includes a lot of international students, right, who are far away from their homes, so they definitely need access to food, and also like people of color and other marginalized student populations on campus. So with the help of the donors, they're making a huge, positive change in everyone's life, and we appreciate that so much.
Absolutely.
Well, so Obaid, you touched on the pandemic and everything like that. So how do you feel that the pandemic has affected the food insecurity project at Westminster?
Yeah, definitely. So the project itself, right? I mean, of course, we started meeting on Zoom, right? Because this is such an important thing, even though we used to like meet in person, but now, of course, because of the pandemic, so we started meeting on Zoom. We started reaching out to like the communities and people that we hadn't reached out before, because now, because of the pandemic, we had a little bit more extra time. We took, instead of going out with friends, going to restaurants, doing a lot of these social activities, we took that time to actually focus more on the food security. And we realized that the need for food security was getting bigger and bigger with the pandemic, right? As challenges kind of like came to engulf themselves. So yeah, we started getting more committed to the project because we had to, and it's an absolutely need, not a want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also something to also think about is, right, just the reality is that students either are working less because of hours available at work, or they have to modify their work schedule, so they're spending more time at home, or maybe they're maybe a Westminster being on campus provided that food security, but now they're at home, whether it's literally in state or out of state, and right. So I think it's also going back to a really important point again that Maggie made, is that we shouldn't take these predominant notions of access and privilege as the monolithic image of a Westminster student, right? Because that can further disenfranchise students. And with the $8,771 we raised today, I know that's right. I think it's a super good sign that not only Westminster, but the campus community is committed to understanding the unique experiences of students, whether that be food insecurity or housing insecurity or access to education, whatever it may be. So I think it's really important to understand. So that's a great point, Dwain.
Awesome. And I'm so glad you mentioned how much money you've raised. Congratulations on a little over $8,000. That's really exciting. That is I'll tell you, that's more than I saw when I was in student government for projects. So that's so exciting. That's like, what are your plans? What are you going to do with all of that money? It feels like, the world is your oyster. You can do some really cool programming. I'd love to hear about what your plans are.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you said that we were going to buy a Lamborghini, of course, it wouldn't be the truth. So actually, like, I don't know if, everyone knows about our Purple Basket on campus.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it's basically in Carlson. It provides, students with access to like a lot of different food options. We do have a food pantry on campus, right? We do have like shelves and all of that needs to be like restocked. And I think, using this fund to do that would be so helpful. And also the second thing is that we know that not everyone lives in the state, right? A lot of Westminster students have gone to different states and all of that. So this funding could also be utilized as a way to purchase gift cards, to send it out, to students who need it the most and who don't actually live on campus, right, to come into Carlson and actually access those things. Because, of course, also because of the pandemic, a lot of our students also live with, high-risk individuals, so they don't feel even comfortable, leaving their house. But we also want to make sure that while they were attending Westminster, we help them as much as we can with this one. And also, this also helps further our food security initiatives on campus, right? For now, like, we do have the Purple Basket, food pantry, and, gift cards here and there. But in the future, we would like to hopefully institutionalize, food security project on campus. We would like to expand our resources. We would like to use the funding as an opportunity to raise awareness on food security on campus, because not everyone is on the same page. So we can do so much with the $8,071, and thank you so much.
Yeah, and something I wanted to add as well is, right, we have to know what's the story, right? What are the numbers? Who are these students? Are they, transfer students, first generation students, right? So I think, and what Obaid and I hope is that we set up the next ASW team to hopefully, embark on a data collection year to really find the numbers and find the information so that while we're very grateful that people are being aware to this problem, that we're also accurately trying to find ways to solve it, and not only react to it, right, but be proactive to it. Are there things that Westminster is doing that might be causing these problems, or are there things that we're not looking at that might be causing the problem, both as ASW and as an institution at large? So also the role of ASW and the Food and Housing Security Coordinator is about also understanding what is the problem at hand and how we can better tackle it. So I think that's also what the money would be going to, and on top of the amazing programming that's already happening this year.
Awesome, thank you. So as student leaders, what excites you about ASW and ASW and the One Westminster Day?
Yeah, I can start with that. I think what excites me is this, right? We get to bring light to some of the pressing issues that students are experiencing, right? We may not think of food and housing security as such a grandiose or glamorous issue, but it's really, really important, and it's really, really pertinent to the well-being of students. And I think not only ASW, but Westminster is so committed to creating a campus community, but a community also takes care of each other, right? So I think that's what this project is all about. And I think that's what really excites me about my role as vice president, is the ability to really not only acknowledge, but address students' needs, not only through my work with the alumni office, but also with President Dobkin and all the campus partners we have. So I think being able to really shed light to these issues in a productive and in an effective way, and be heard, and have people believe in you, 8,000's worth of believing in you. I think it's an awesome opportunity, and I think that it's something that shows that we're all committed to making that change. So I'm really grateful for this, work, and the work of Maggie and her team, and the alumni office, and also everyone else has been really involved in this. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Really good question. And on top of, everything that Daud said, I think for me, I really focus on, the global aspect that Westminster tends to embrace in the student body, right? We try to make our community a really, hopefully, an inclusive place in a global context, right? And I think like having the opportunity to interact with people of different backgrounds, different cultures, right, different energies, and also like different project ideas even, right, that we get to implement and support within ASW is super exciting to me. When coming to Westminster, the website said that, hey, Westminster is this small tight-knit community, right, where you can interact with your peers and professors and staff. And I've actually found and felt that, right, in ASW, I get to interact, right, with the student body as the student body president on a every day, right? I get to hear their concerns. We get to pass resolutions and bills and legislations in Senate. We get to encourage students to start their own clubs, right, Dwain? We get to do a lot of these exciting events, even in the, uncertainty that's been engendered, by this global pandemic. And also like with this amazing support that we get to do the projects that are needed to be done in the community, and with the help of amazing people like Maggie and also the alumni house. So I'm grateful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I have a question for all three of you, since you're all in student government right now. And I remember that in the years that I did it, it was already a challenge being a junior and senior in college. Like, that's a hard enough time. And you all willingly chose to add more work to your plate with just the world as it is. And can you just talk a little bit about that and what it feels like to be doing this kind of work while you're also trying to survive a pandemic and like turn in your school assignments? No big, just a light load.
A little sun on a Tuesday. But I think I can start out with that. And I'm gonna be honest, when Obaid and I were elected, there was no global pandemic, right?
Yeah,
I left
right.
spring break, vice president came back, vice president in a pandemic, and that was a shock and it was an adjustment. But I also think it added purpose to why I ran. We're doing work in both my community and nationally with not only gun violence prevention, but doing racial equity work. I thought it would be a disservice to that work if I didn't bring it on campus and continue these conversations here on campus. So I think that really going back to that core value of driving conversation everywhere I go and everywhere that I'm, given opportunity to be a leader, it definitely has been a challenge. It's been really difficult. We've had to be imaginative. The irony of running on a reimagining campaign and then reimagining the entire student
Literally
government.
everything.
I was like, okay. But I think that it was really about this year really has it's just been about addressing the needs of students, right? Because we can't have regular programming, we can't have fun events, we can't have a regular senior dinner, we can't do all of these things that are so great. But that's why we also chose this project, is that that this year we have to really shift our focus from being a student government that might facilitate also extracurriculars, but a student government that addresses the material needs of students as well. So it's been difficult. It's been difficult managing classes and adjusting to a pandemic personally, professionally. But I think having team members like Obaid and Dwain really keep you going in terms of we're all in this together, and we have a student body to serve. So I think that's really the best part of it all.
That's really great.
Yeah, definitely. And I think oftentimes we try to separate, right, ourselves as students, right? Thinking that I'm going to go to class, and when I'm done with the class, I'm done with Westminster, right? Which is definitely not the case. We meet our best friends, right, from Westminster College. We see our peers on a daily basis, and we get to keep interacting with them in those amazing ways, right? And I think seeing your friends, right, seeing your community members actually having difficult and challenging times with affording food, right, is really sad. It's definitely been a sad thing, right, seeing people that they don't have enough food to eat. So I think not only as a student, but also more of as a community member, as a human, right, doing certain projects as a student is also really empowering and also humanizing of our community struggles at the same time. So it's definitely been an honor, working in this position, helping to thrive our community, and also to stay connected as One Westminster on this One Westminster Day.
Nice, nice. What about you, Mr. Club's president? That's a big job too.
For my position, I ran on the idea of trying to build a community. I found my friends from Westminster in through clubs, and when running, I was thinking about I want to help people come together, build their communities similar ways as I did, and in the process, it was the start of the pandemic when I started running, but we didn't know how serious it was. So this year, it's been just adjustments. We had our first virtual clubs fair. That was a new idea. It brought in a couple of people with us being COVID safe. We also did our another clubs fair and a pop up this year. We're working on pop ups with the ASW events team and being COVID safe as well. So it's just about being creative, like Daud mentioned, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much for all of your work that you do for students. It's very important. I might be a little bit biased, but I tend to think it's pretty important. Well, if we keep thinking about, food security and where that can go. So we've talked about the $8,000, but it's what, 6:20 p.m. We're not closing down shop until midnight. So there's still all kinds of more money that could come in. What's your dream? Like if you could have the ultimate food justice program on campus, what would it involve if money was no issue? Let's strike some inspiration in our audience.
I would say if money was no issue, if money ain't no problem, I think one, it's being able to give everyone on campus access to free food, right? Being able to make sure that either whether that's through a meal plan, whether that's through Shaw being just, tap your student card and you got your meal, whatever it may be. I think that's a really, really good way to do that. But also, I think it's about empowering students to also learn about what that can mean for is that gardening your own vegetables and fruits and teaching them about healthy lifestyles, and I think oftentimes that's such an inaccessible conversation in terms of agriculture. So I think really, really important to maybe educate students about that, and checking out our environmental center because they do a lot of great work about that as well. But also, right, Westminster has a 2-year residency requirement for campus living. So I think would say giving students free campus living, either that or letting them live elsewhere and making sure that they're provided for. I think that sounds like a dream to me.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish we could raise like 999,999. Right, almost $1 billion. But of course, I'm sure that every dollar raised in this really important project means in the billions, right? It not only provides like a need for our students that need it actually the most, but also like it provides them an incentive to give back to their community one day, right? Because they were helped when they needed the most. And I think on top of what Daud said, I think something other than providing this materialistic value and giving students like free food, which is also really important, something else is also raising awareness about like food justice, right? Like what kind of food do you eat, right? Start cooking, start trying some new recipes online. And I think expanding programs, like providing more courses and classes on those issues is also really important, right? It kind of like goes back to contributing to becoming a global-minded peacemaker, right? Through learning about food justice, through learning about inclusion and equity in the process, and also through, giving people free food, as Daud said, which is super, super good.
If people gave me free food, I wouldn't have to spend so much money eating in and out.
Okay, so if you had encouragement or sending out that are on the fence, donating or something like that, what would you have to say?
Yeah, I would honestly say we are a community built up of people with different experiences, different backgrounds, different stories, right? But the one thing we have in common is our responsibility to one another, right? We have a responsibility to protect each other. We have a responsibility to provide for each other, right? Because when we all have a stake in the fight matters to all of us, right? Just because you have 3 meals on your table does not mean someone else will, right? Just because I don't doesn't mean that I shouldn't be helping out as well. So I think the most important thing is give what you can, right? Because ultimately, right, in my dream world, we're in a fight to create a world that has never existed, a world free of food injustice, right? A world where no child goes to bed hungry, where no college student isn't trying to scramble for money just so that they have energy to go to class and be a good student, right? Our wildest dreams shouldn't be stopped by basic human right inaccessibility, right? So I would say to everyone that has $5, $10, $30, $50, $100, donate. Find a way to give, and like Obaid said, this empowers us as students to give back, because I know 10 years from now I'll be checking out One Westminster Day and making sure that I'm giving back to the community that gave to me, right? So investing in one another is not transactional, right? But instead it's reflective of each other and our experiences and our values. So give you
totally. I love that, the idea of investing in the future. So even if you're not having the resources right now once you leave, but you're ensuring that these resources are going to be there for students that come after. Because it is a college. There will always be students. Without students, there really is no college. So it's paying it forward, I think, is really great.
Exactly. I say 1,000,000% to all of what was just said. And I think, to me, the way that I see, first appreciating a lot of these supporters and appreciating people considering to donate even $1, 20 cents, 10 cents, 1 cent, $100, right? Jump it around. I think, to me, it's like planting a tree, right, in a forest of wild trees, wild, animals who roar, right? Just like the Katy Perry song. But yeah, so I think the more actually, you water, the plant, it gets bigger, right? It grows, right? And then at the end, when the tree becomes super big, it actually creates a shadow, right? So if you wanted to use the shadow as a way to basically seek refuge, or if you just wanted to take a nap right under the shadow, you could actually do that. And that's because you watered the tree, right? And it also in a way helps us to fathom and understand that a lot of the support that we get, right, will come back to the community in one way or the other, right? And we strongly believe in the people in our community, right? It's the students, it's the donors, it's the staff and faculty who make Westminster, the place that it is today. And it can only get better, right, with more support. That's going to be super, super appreciated. So if you haven't donated, you all, please go ahead and donate. Grab your wallet, grab your purse, start. Please donate again. Thank you.
I also wanted to add something. And Obaid kind of made me think of this was I had a wonderful conversation with one of my predecessors, Maggie, and she told me that these conversations and work does not start or begin with us, right? But we are just doing our part. We're here for only 4 years as students, and but I strongly believe that 5-10 years after I'm gone from campus, that this work will be continued, right? So really, this is an investment. This really is the start of something, right? Because this year we might raise 8,000, right? And we might only be able to reach out to 50 students, right? But that's 50 more than last year, and then it'll just snowball from there. So, the fight keeps going, and we hope that you join us and your wallet joins us.
Yes, this work started my junior year with Jasmine May, who, shout out to Jasmine, if you're watching, you're amazing and I love you. But she worked really hard and she really cared about it. And it, good work takes time, and it takes different leaders over different time, and it takes some Monday. So those donations are really helpful. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. We have some other things going on. So, any last words before you head off?
Go ahead, Obaid.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to all the supporters, to donors, people helping in the process, right? People who were not able to donate, but also have been helping us so much with the food security justice initiatives on campus, and also helping the Westminster students to actually go to sleep, stomach, enoughly full kind of thing, not super, super full. We just want to say thank you so much from the bottom, of our hearts. We really appreciate you. And we will give back, one day to not only Westminster, to the community, to the world, to every person that we get to interact with in the future, because this is changing so many students' lives. And we're super, super glad that we're all in this together. So thank you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So I just want to say thank you and everyone here tonight, but also shout out to all the other projects, right? All of this is a stepping stone and a block towards, building. I obviously have a bias towards which one you should donate to at westminstercollege.edu, but every single project does its part to make sure that students here, students' ambitions, passions are nurtured, crafted, and protected so that when they leave Westminster, they can do better in the world.
Beautiful. Crying. Lovely. Thank you so much, the two of you.
Sure.
Have a great rest of your evening and happy One Westminster Day.
Yes, shout out to y'all. Thank you so much.
Happy One Westminster to everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.